In this session, we explore the topic of color and the strategic role it plays in the design and visualization process.
So our studio works on projects all over the world, specifically often in Europe. And one of the things about being an American designer working in Europe is you have to try to use the assets of the culture that you come from. So for example, furniture companies in Italy, one might think that they're always using Italian designers, but it's the complete opposite. They're looking for designers from around the world to represent the particular culture that they come from. So we spend a lot of time kind of trying to be strategic about where we come from and how that fits into the design in a global sense. I think California is ripe with opportunity to talk about color stories. The idea of kind of very bright orange and very bright pink, almost I guess in a basic way, a cliche way, coming from the idea of sunset. It can be fairly shallow. It doesn't have to be so deep because it's supposed to be more instinctual and emotional. When you move to California, the first thing you realize is how fast the freeways go. Cars drive just a lot faster here than they do in other parts of the US. And so there's kind of this, and you spend a lot of time on the freeway. So there's this idea of perpetual motion, that the city is always moving. But anyway, we were commissioned in maybe 2005 or 2004 to do a line of textiles for Texas. And the very first thing that we latched onto in the studio was this idea of transition and how we're moving from one place to another. And so, in a very literal sense, our first idea was, can we have a textile that moves across a sofa from one color to another? The idea of doing it wasn't easy to find a mill partner that was willing to work on this project with us because it was very technically complicated. I'm telling you before that we started with the Pantone collection, right? And we tried to see if we can use the Pantone color to gradiate the fabric, but there wasn't nearly enough. I think they have 3,000 or 4,000 colors, and it wasn't nearly enough to get as smooth as we wanted. So basically we made these master prints in the studio off of our printer, and these master prints are what the dye house used to kind of mark the color and to dye their collection. Also for us, the color magenta has been, from the beginning of our studio, has been an important color for us. And the colors of the skate, that was the first magenta sofa. And it's an interesting story because it was a project that I thought should be magenta from the beginning. And I only drew it in magenta. I only rendered it in magenta. We sent the drawings in magenta. Everything was done in magenta. And then they found this beautiful magenta fabric in a mill outside of northern Italy. Very, very highly saturated fabric, textile. And then that's what they put on for the show and the ad campaign. So in a way, I'll always associate that sofa with magenta. And the cool thing about that sofa is the idea for it was, I was at a skate park in Orange County doing research for a project for Ford. And the whole shape of the sofa, the line of the sofa basically was inspired by this skate park. It was in a way, a very California idea, a very California moment, if you will. And kind of looking at this subculture and the colors that they had on their skateboard and on their clothes, and it just kind of seemed to fit well with the magenta. Another color that I'm really interested in as far as California goes is this idea of kind of blue. When you fly over coming to LA on the daytime, during the day, one of the most amazing things is to see all the swimming pools of all different shapes. And they all have this kind of separate shade of blue, but I've always been somewhat inspired by that color as a very California color. David Hockney did a painting, and David Hockney's painting kind of tried to capture, I think, in a way, that particular blue. And I've always thought of that as a very California color.
The DeltaText workstation consists of a digital presenter, computer with DeltaGen software, and your material selections. Utilizing a digital presenter, we are able to instantly view in real time various materials on our 3D model via a live camera feed. By replacing the red textile with a new material, we can now analyze the large-scale pattern on the chair form. By placing a highly textured material on the chair, we are able to view in real time how we can contrast the sleek form with a dimensional textile seat.
I believe in this idea of the emotional power of color. I believe in the emotional, the basic idea that when you see design or touch design, the customer has an immediate feeling or impact. And that to me is the most important thing about what we do. We're always concerned about that visceral effect of design, or in this case color. For me, it's less about play, and it's more trying to be strategic in trying to get the emotional impact that we want through the use of whatever color it happens to be.